Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. And today I want to do my fourth video in my 5-part series about the misconceptions of quality with luxury watches. And so, before I begin, I just want to say that I bring up Rolex and Omega a lot because those are really the two high-end luxury watch brands that I get the most kickback or the most negative comments comparing those to Invicta. Now, you guys, when I compare Invicta to Rolex, I'm only doing that in defense of the brand, okay, in defense of Invicta, because a lot of people think, a lot of these watch snobs out there think if it's not a Rolex or an Omega that it's garbage. Not a Breitling, it's garbage. And then if you take Invicta out of the equation, these are the same folks that are like, well, Breitling's better, or Breitling's crap. It's just these people just make these comments that really, are just, they're snobbish, and you're coming on a channel which obviously is a review channel, but it's primarily, anybody who watches this channel knows that I review many different brands of watches, from micro brand to, your Invictas, but a lot of the watches on here are Invicta because that is my favorite brand watch, and with the exception of Aragon, those two are like, if I have to pick two favorite brands, those two are my favorite brand watches out there. Now, I've reviewed the Bulivas and the Aqua Dive and all that stuff, and I like those, and I like those equally as much. I wear those, I cycle my watches, every other day I wear a different watch. So, I like all watches, and I'm a watch collector. I like the passion for collecting watches and sharing watches. So, that's what it's really all about for me. Now, do I think Invicta is the world's best watch? The quality blows everybody else away? Well, no. There's lots of great watches out there. Invicta has exceptional quality for what you're paying. And I do think, though, it's the world's best value of watches. That and Aragon, those two are just hands down, you get the best value, the most for your money. It's astonishing. And, if you go looking at some of the guys who have reviewed a lot of different watches that necessarily aren't my taste, such as somebody like the Urban Gentry, I encourage you to check out his review of the 8926 Invicta homage watch to a Rolex, I think it was a Submariner. He was blown away for $89 that that's what you get. I mean, blown away. And this guy has reviewed watches from so many different brands and so many different price points that even he was super impressed with this. So you really can't you really can't come on here and say that Invicta doesn't make an exceptional product for what you're paying. It's exceptional. So that being said, I want to move on to the next discussion, the next aspect of a watch, which warrants, in some people's eyes, a much higher price. Now, there are pros and cons, of course, and there are different price points. So you're not gonna pay $60 and get the same crystal you're gonna get on even a $300 Invicta or a $5,000 Rolex, okay? So let's talk about the different type of crystals, because the crystal is very important. The crystal basically protects the movement and protects the face of the watch, and there are different types of crystals out there. So the first one we have is what every watch snob will say is that it's the best. If it doesn't have this, it's crap, right? And that's a sapphire crystal. Sapphire is known to be very, very strong as far as it's very scratch resistance, but it's not as shatter resistant as your mineral crystal, okay? Now, I don't know about you. Sometimes I read these stories in these forums where these guys are like wearing their watch they got to a machine shop going to work, and then they complain when it gets scratched. So, if you're gonna like, guys, if you work in an industry where, if you work in an industry where there's potential to damage your watch, why are you wearing it to work and then complaining about it? If you work in an office setting and the bottom of your watch gets a little scratched right here, if it's a mirror polished watch, let's say every watch I've ever seen or owned will get scratched by you putting your hand on glass, or I have a glass desk, so a lot of mine get a little bit scratched, because glass is pretty hard, of course, and so that's, you're going to get little scratches. Sometimes on the inside of your jacket, you'll have a button in there, and years of wearing that jacket, I put a little scratch mark in your watch, okay? So, it's consistent abuse on a watch that's going to make it either fail or get scratched. So, don't buy, if you're looking for a watch you can take to work and not worry about it, go on eBay and buy like your generic digital G-Shock style watch. You get them for like $2, so don't get something and then complain about it. So with that being said, though, the sapphire is extremely shatter resistant, and your mineral crystal is the sapphire is very scratch resistant, and the only thing that could scratch true sapphire crystal is another sapphire crystal or diamond, and then the mineral crystal is much more shatter resistant, okay? And then you have another one called Flame Fusion. This is the one I want to kind of focus on a little bit today. Flame Fusion is a crystal that's designed by Invicta. It's their own process. What they've done is they've combined the best of both worlds. They've taken the sapphire crystal and they've taken the mineral crystal under pressure and heat. They've created their own crystal called Flame Fusion. Now, Flame Fusion is also a term that I'm just going to read you something right off the internet here by a gentleman who did a write-up on the different types of crystals. And he talked about where sapphire crystals actually came from. So there's a misconception there as well that if a watch says that's sapphire, it doesn't mean it's real sapphire. It most likely is lab-created sapphire. And this is what I want to read you today about this. It says, typically in the luxury watch field, sapphire crystals are preferred. Sapphires are extremely strong and scratch resistant, making a top choice for fine timepieces. While sapphire is the more expensive of the three crystal choices, it has advantages due to scratch resistance and shatter resistance. The term sapphire for watch crystal may be somewhat misleading in that they are not typically made from natural corundum. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. I know you guys will correct me. Instead, sapphire crystals are usually created as a synthetic compound with the same properties as its natural counterpart. The process of producing sapphire synthetically was invented in 1893 by French chemist Auguste Verneuil, if I'm saying that right. I'm sure I'm not. He shared it with the world in 1902, this process. The process that he created is called, or currently referred to as, flame fusion. Now, I'm not saying that, and again, it talks about how that's made with heat and pressure, and how it's done, and how they create these crystals, and then they're cut with a diamond cutting blade, basically, and polish them become sapphire crystals. So they're created in a lab, okay? And so that's the same, kind of like, we hear about lab-made diamonds and lab-made rubies. They're not the same as the original, but they're very, very similar. And so they're still good. But the point is that a lot of these watch snobs will always say that, oh, well, sapphire is the best, sapphire is the best. And although it does have great properties, Invicta created the flame fusion process, which I don't believe is the same process here. It's their own design that they've produced these crystals that give you a little bit of the best from both worlds. You have more of a shatter resistance like mineral, and then of course you have more of a scratch resistance from sapphire. So that's kind of their own thing. And then Aragon has their Cristerna, and then of course Sterling uses what they call the K1. I haven't researched all those. I'm not going to get into them today. I'll definitely take a look and do another video at a later date. But point being is that, okay, so if you have a watch that has a sapphire crystal, and I will go on record too, some of your lower end Invictas will use the mineral. Other ones will use, there are Invictas, I have a few that have sapphire crystals, but most are the flame fusion crystal. And you get a lot of debate on whether or not that's whether that's good or bad. One gal said she bought her husband an Invicta, this is the one, he worked for the machine shop, she bought it because of the flame fusion scratch resistance, and he scratched it, Works in a machine shop. I mean, I personally wouldn't wear any watch to a machine shop, at least not something that you put the potential to damage. I mean, that's kind of taking a watch and putting it in an extreme environment. Another guy said he whacked it on his granite countertop. He thought for sure he shattered it. No scratch or nothing. I personally have walked by brick walls before and accidentally bumped my watch, just coming around the corner or whatever, and I've never scratched any crystal that I own. The only watch I have with a scratch in it is one of my Seikos, one of the second oldest watch in my collection, and I think my dad might have did that back in the day. I'm not sure how it happened. I was a little tiny kid, but that one does have a noticeable scratch. But I've never scratched any of my watches because I am, for the most part, pretty careful. If I know I'm going to be out working on my car, I'll take my watch off. If I know I'm going to be out working in the yard, I'll take my watch off. Now, my job, my 9 to 5. Isn't the kind of job, my neighbors, man, isn't the kind of job where I need to really be concerned with that. I don't work in a machine shop. I don't work with tools. So there's really not a lot of potential for me to damage my watches. So I always wear a different watch every single day, and I don't worry about if I get a little, some will get normal wear and tear. Like, for instance, if I'm sitting at my desk at home working on the internet, I'll definitely start to scratch. If it's a high polish watch, I generally will take it off when I'm sitting on my desk because the glass does tend to scratch mirror polish coatings. It does. It's pretty hard. So, with that being said, you just got to be careful about where you're wearing your watch and how you take care of your watch. But that's, again, a misconception. I want to get back to the misconception part, that just because it doesn't have a sapphire crystal, it's crap. And that's not the case. Yeah, maybe a sapphire might be a little more scratch resistant, and I don't know how much more scratch resistant than your flame fusion. But the point is, does that really warrant, the price that they're charging for some of these luxury items? I don't think so. I've seen, you know, I did a review on the Swole watches, right? Swole watches, in my opinion, and I'm trying to get my hands on one, is basically an infantry watch. It's a mass-produced watch. They've actually copied an Invicta Coalition Forces. I have an infantry watch, and there's a company called Swole, and they're selling these watches, and they're nice looking for like upwards of like $150 to $200. And when I look at it, it looks exactly like my infantry watch, and that's a $150 watch. The only difference is they say Swiss made and they say sapphire crystal. Again, there's going to be a difference, I think, between that sapphire crystal and, say, you know, a Rolex with one, of course. I'm sure there's a difference. But the point is, they can still get away with saying Swiss made in sapphire, and this is a $15 watch. The movement in this watch is a $5 Miyota that you can find on eBay, or I'm sorry, I think it was a Ronda, I believe, if what they told me is correct. They didn't even know when I asked them. They had to go research it. So, again, you gotta be a smart shopper. If you have a Swole watch and you like it, that's what's important. But there's huge markup and there's lots of terms being thrown out there. And that's where I always come back to my term I like to use. One of my subscribers shared with me called manufactured desire. Just because it has a you know, this part or that part, just because it says Swiss made doesn't make it better than your Miyota that's maybe not be Swiss made, or your Seiko NH35 that's not Swiss made. Just because one says Swiss made doesn't make it better, okay? Just because it has sapphire doesn't make it better. You know, you have to weigh price versus what you're getting. And again, coming back to value, Invicta and Aragon, they give you the best value. And you know, I like the other brands I have too, but I mean, really, you go look at $89 Pro Diver automatic. I mean, it's amazing. Automatic movement, the finishing. I mean, even like I said, Urban Gentry, I've mentioned this before. He did a review on the 8926, I believe, Rolex homage watch. He was blown away that for $89 you got the quality you get. He said the bezel on it, he was blown away. And I encourage you to watch his video on that. And this guy is reviewed, if you don't take my word for it, you know, because I'm very big about the Invictas, he's not really an Invicta fan. So he's compared this to like Omegas and a lot of watches he's had. He likes to cycle his watches and buy new ones and sell them. And so he's got a pretty broad spectrum of experience with a lot of the luxury or what they would call higher end watches. And he said that the bezel on this $89 Invicta was better than the Breitling he had sitting next to it. So guys, be a smart shopper, do your research, put your hands in this stuff. One guy told me the other day when I did the bezel review, when I talked about the bezel movement, he says go turn a Rolex bezel and you know, you'll see the difference. Well, I intend to do so, but I'll tell you right now, I have folks on my channel who have Rolexes, and they'll tell you, okay, maybe there's a little bit of difference, but it doesn't warrant the price difference that they're charging. So anyway, if you like that product, get that product. If you enjoy that product, wonderful. But you know, just because you have that doesn't mean it's the best for everyone. It doesn't mean that it makes the Invicta crap, okay? Or the brands that are a lot less. Because let's face it, you're paying for a lot more than just the manufacturing involved. You're paying for the name as well, guys. So, all right, well, I'm going to conclude the video on that before we get to the 16-minute mark. Just want to do a quick wrist check. I'm trying to do this in every video, but I forget. Wearing the Delta T Heavy Armor. This is a brand new one they came out with. Definitely check out my video on this. Got these armor plates you can change. I have a few more coming in the mail. Hopefully they came today. Oh, look, guys. Oh, look, it doesn't click like a Rolex. It's crap. No, that's not the case. So definitely check out my other videos of my 5-part series. One more to go. This is number 4. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel. And I put these videos up to get the discussion going, guys. It's not to offend anybody. It's not to hurt anybody's feelings. I think Rolex is a fine brand. I love all watches across the board. But don't bash my brand. All right, folks. Thanks again for watching once again. Subscribe to the channel and click like and get the comments going, folks. I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear about your experiences. All right, folks. Have a wonderful day. Take care.